What a week of recruiting it was for Auburn football and basketball to start off February 2023. We haven't had a chance to talk about the sequence of events yet, so we're going to do that here on this edition of Good Morning Auburn. Good morning, Auburn family. Good morning, E2C Network family. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Whether you're watching now, currently live, whether you're watching on the replay, however you got here, we appreciate you hanging out with us, spending some time hearing what we have to say about this topic, but just spending some time with us in the Auburn family space as we dive into a recruiting topic today. Before we get started, though, I want to always remind you of a couple of things that you can do to help us get started on every single live stream. If you will, use this as your check-in period right now, watching live or on the replay, post where you're watching from, your city, your state, international. Check in with us. Let us know that you're here. And also smash the like button. It does help the stream out. It helps us all find each other. It helps new people come into the fold here to be part of our little family within the Auburn family. So that is how we can get started today as you hear my alarm going off for whatever reason. I've been on vacation, by the way. Have you noticed that? We haven't been meeting together live for the last few days because I've been on vacation, but we are back in the South today to tackle this topic, which is why we're covering this topic. For most of you, this is going to be old news, right? This all happened midweek, the end of last week to start off February, the big recruiting weekend with National Signing Day. What shouldn't be National Signing Day for football for the 2023 class, getting that class completed, but also not just some head start on the 2024 class for football and basketball, but also there was a little bit of 2025 action in that as well. So I just want to talk about the sequence of events, hear some from you guys if you have any thoughts or opinions about all of that. And of course, I do want to remind you that we're going to do some individual videos about each of those prospects that'll be coming up as soon as we can get to them and as I can get back fully into the saddle here at E2C Network. So that is what is on tap for you today. James, thank you for checking in. What's going on, sir? Checking in from Huntsville, and glad to have you here. You guys can do the same as you pop into the stream. So let me kind of walk through what happened last week. Obviously, and when I go through this timeline of events of who all committed to Auburn that first week of February, it's going to be a little bit out of sequence because I put them, just based on days, who committed on what day and stuff like that. So it may be like this person committed first and stuff like that. But I did it just for the ease of us discussing this and us having kind of a timeline, a track record to follow as we walk through all committed. But I didn't even put this on my list because I had 5 of them. So 5 guys that committed. But we should remind everybody that it was National Signing Day and Jeremiah Cobb committed as he said he would. So I will say, I will commend us as the Auburn faithful. From my perspective, we didn't seem to panic as much about the Jeremiah Cobb potential of flipping or anything like that as it seemed like it was going to be. He said he was going to stay committed and sign on that day, and he followed through with that. And so your running back room looks very solid. I would say even more solid than it looked with just his addition coming in with who you picked up in the transfer portal. So it was a great start to the week with getting that completely finalized, signed on the dotted line, and getting him, I would assume, well, I guess he couldn't start early. I'm sure he'll be here in the fall. I'm not sure exactly how it works these days with how quickly they can enroll and not enroll, but classes have already started, so I'm sure that's not on the table. But Jeremiah Cobb's here, so that's a great thing. So that we can add that to this list. But the 5 that we want to talk about, just in some broad detail stuff about who all committed to Auburn in that week, starts with this one. One that a lot of people saw coming, like Amon Lane, the first commit, who we've already done a video about. Go check that out. He would be the second commit. Jaden Lewis, a cornerback. So you start off with 2 defensive backs in the year, and this started off February 1st, that day, getting things rolling for 2024 recruiting, even though we already had 1 commit to the class. So it was a great day in terms of getting things finalized for the 2023 class, but it was also a great day in getting things rolling for the 2024 class, and we weren't done just there just there in football and basketball. Let me also talk about this too for a second. One of the things that I love about Auburn is it is a family, and I know that gets thrown around a lot, and I know a lot of people maybe get tired of it, and a lot of other schools have something similar to that. But there is something unique and special about Auburn, which we try to tackle here a lot. And you can see that reflected a lot of the times, most of the time, in how the coaches are with each other. If we're not too far removed from a time where Kentucky was having John Calipari and Mark Stoops having some issues with each other about legitimacy of one or the other, that kind of thing. You don't have that here. You've got Bruce Pearl and Hugh Freeze celebrating each other. We saw that, we saw that with Brian Harsin as well. We saw that definitely with Gus and Bruce Pearl as well. But we see that kind of developing now between Hugh and them. So you saw on this day, as one would have the great recruiting success, the other would celebrate along with him, which was a great thing to see, right? It really was. For me, I was really excited to see that synergy, that family thing that we talk about develop there. All right, so just wanted to throw that in there as part of that. So that was number one, Jaden Lewis. Number two on the day for football was 2025 related. And I don't know if this shocked a lot of people, but on February 1st, your first 2025 commit, a defensive lineman, Malik Autry, Opelika, Alabama. Obviously, we talk a lot about taking care of your backyard early, especially. We saw this happen with the 2023 class with like Braden Joyner, but finding the guys in your backyard that you don't want to let go ahead and offering them and signing them and getting them to be your ambassadors, your lead recruiters in a sense on there. So Malik Autry for 2025 was brought on, was committed. And I will admit, I'm a little bit skeptical, if it'll last this early. Anytime I see someone commit so far in advance of their actual early signing day or their national signing day, it gets you a little bit like, all right, are you really going to follow through with this? But hey, I'm happy to have him on board, and we'll see if it follows through. So great start for football last week. But what about basketball? A lot of people have talked about, whether you agree with it or not, the guard play. Sometimes it's felt like we were a little bit lacking at point guard, whether it be a size factor, an offensive scheme factor, or just, in general, maybe not having the level of point guard play that we need. I think a lot of that centralizes around, we got so spoiled by Jared Harper and to some degree, Sharif Cooper as well. And that's not a knock on Wendell Green or anybody else that's been here as a point guard thus far. That is the prevailing sentiment right there. Well, it must have some validity to it in terms of needing to address this, because Bruce Pearl went out and got not just one, not just two, or actually just two. I was acting like there was a third one, but two point guards. One pretty big point guard as well. Let's start with the first one. And this rounded out that February 1st day. So for February 1st, early signing or national signing day, you had Jeremiah Cobb finalize everything. Jaden Lewis for 2024 football, Malik Autry for 2025 football. But then Tahad Pettiford, a point guard, signed up with the Tigers on the 1st as well, getting things rolling for him. Not to be outdone and wanting to join into the fray, Labaron Philon, if I'm saying that correctly, a point guard as well. 2 days later, on Friday the 3rd, decided to join the Tigers 2024 commit class, now making that 3 on the season and giving you 2 point guards, 2 solid point guards in that class. Absolutely incredible, exciting sequence of events that happened in just the basketball spectrum in just a short amount of time. So that was great to see, great to watch. Even for me, who was a little bit disconnected last week and watched the excitement roll in, people, getting really pumped about that, especially with some of the up and down play that's been happening with Auburn basketball as of late. So you had that part of it as well. Tahad Pettiford on the 1st, point guard. Labaron Philon, I'm probably mispronouncing that, a point guard as well on the 3rd, committing for Auburn basketball. But wait, there's more. Not for basketball, though. That's probably, who knows, there may be more coming. For 2024, getting a 3rd commit on the season. A lot of people were really wanting Auburn to figure out what the future was going to look like at quarterback, and you do that with Walker White deciding on the 3rd as well to commit to Auburn over the likes of Clemson and others. That was the big one that was out there. A lot of people thought Auburn was going to have to beat out. You can see him in our little photo here. Auburn gets their quarterback, in theory, of the future. A lot of people excited about this particular guy on here. And I think it's really good early on to find your quarterback and have them locked in as you can. Now, if you'll remember, we did have another quarterback in this class already who decommitted and decided to go off elsewhere, which is, understandable. Things change, all that kind of stuff. But this will be the 2nd quarterback of that class, just only the 1st that is still committed at this point, and in theory, the quarterback of the future. So it was a humongous way to kick off the end of what was a great week, even though it was only over 3 days, but a first few days of February for Auburn football and basketball recruiting, with Walker White coming into town, signing up to be part of the Tigers. So one thing is very clear here. Auburn was very much in the news all last week for a lot of good reasons, and overshadowing some of their bad reasons, right? It's the whole, which we've talked about in great detail on some live streams, the non-call in basketball with the loss to Tennessee and then the loss to West Virginia to start off that week. All of those 2 bookends did not take away from all the exciting things that were happening that week, especially in the realm of recruiting. So what you've seen happen in the matter of a few days is obviously the completion of the 2023 class for Auburn football, but also us moving forward into 2024, starting to really get going with that, and even starting in 2025. What you've also seen is basketball address those big needs that everybody points out, that everybody sees, that I'm sure the coaches know. And the big thing now, we have to sit back, wait, and watch and see how all of this plays out. Will they stay committed to their signing day? There's obviously several months until all of that takes place. But nonetheless, right now, it is a very exciting time to be an Auburn football and Auburn basketball and Auburn recruiting fan because of the week that you had last week. And it was here's what I'll say about last week, even watching from afar, being on vacation. It almost felt like it was the true national signing day, right? Because of what was happening with Auburn football and basketball. It finally felt like back to normal a little bit because we had a bunch of things all happening in the same small period of time. People making decisions to come be part of the Auburn family, which is what we love to see, right? It's awesome. All right, so those are my general thoughts. That's your walkthrough of the timeline of events. I'll give it to you one more time here at the end, but go ahead and post any comments or questions that you have to end our show today. Would love to hear from you on that if you have any of those, if you're watching live. A couple reminders for you. We'll have another Good Morning Auburn tomorrow morning. We'll also have our next scheduled live stream, an Auburn basketball post-game reaction show tomorrow after the conclusion of that particular game. So be looking for that. Check out the links in the description for ways that you can help support our content here at E2C Network. You can be a subscriber to be part of that giveaway we've got going on right now. Hopefully we'll be getting a little bit closer to completing that sooner rather than later. Our channel membership program is available to you. Our Booster Club program is available to you if you want to help support our content here at E2C Network. And we appreciate you being willing, able to do that and help support us for those that you can. But the biggest thing you can do is smash the like button. The biggest thing you can do is just be here, leave a comment, hang out with us, be part of our little family within the Auburn family. All right, so rounding out, again, your 5 things that happened for this last week leading into February. Number 1, Jaden Lewis committing the cornerback on the 1st. Also on the 1st, Malik Autry for 2025, a defensive lineman. Basketball on the 1st, also getting started with Tahad Pettiford, point guard, committing to Auburn. LeBron Philon, point guard, on the 3rd, committing to Auburn. And then finally, that 5th big thing that happened in recruiting, Walker White, quarterback for 2024, committing on the 3rd to Auburn. What a great week for Bruce Pearl. What a great week for Hugh Freeze. What a great week for Auburn. And what a great week for the future of the Auburn family. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. We appreciate you being here, hanging out with us, spending some time being part of our little family within the Auburn family. So I'll talk to you again, my friends, hopefully on the next edition of Good Morning Auburn. War Eagle.